Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another transfer video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And in today's video, people, we're going to be discussing Mike Maignan and his potential move to Chelsea because there have been developments. Now, we know that Chelsea made an approach to Milan for Maignan earlier this week. Milan have always maintained they wanted 30 million euros, about 20 to 25 million pounds, but Chelsea only value him at 10 million euros. So there's a big valuation there, and it's unclear whether Chelsea are going to be prepared to meet in the middle. But the latest update coming from Marzio. Now, of course, this is an Italian outlet, so again, this could be coming from Milan, but we still need to cover it and we still need to speak about it. AC Milan are blocking Mike Maignan''s move to Chelsea. New coach Max Allegri wants to keep the goalkeeper. Now, this is hardly a surprise. We know that Allegri has just come in, reappointed as AC Milan head coach. He's going to want to keep hold of as many of his best players as he can. Tijani Reinders has already gone to Manchester City. It looks like Theo Hernandez could be exiting as well. And so he'll want to keep Manyan. Now, look, Maignan's deal with Milan's up in 2026, 1 year left on his contract. You could argue that Milan are in a weak negotiating position, but also from a Milan perspective, they might be looking at it and thinking, do you know what? Maybe we'll chance our luck. We'll hold firm on our valuation. I'm sure there'll be other clubs around Europe and the world that will see value in Mike Maignan at 20, 25 million pounds. Or we'll chance our luck and we'll try and negotiate a new deal. And he'll be crucial to helping us qualify for the Champions League next season. And therefore, that is worth way more than selling him for £8.5 million this summer. So it is a concern. I'm not sure how much Manyan is really pushing for this move to Chelsea. Look, he's open to the move to Chelsea, absolutely. But is he desperate to leave Milan and desperate to come to Chelsea? Is he forcing a move through? Is he doing everything he possibly can to get a move to Stamford Bridge? I'm not sure. And it feels like Chelsea are kind of quite relaxed about this. You know, if they can come to an agreement with Milan, which pretty much suits their terms, they'll do it. But if not, they're not really that fussed. And that's something that greatly concerns me because you've got a top-class player in a vital position on the pitch, a significant upgrade on what you've already got, and you're being very blasé about it. You're taking the piss. If this was Mike Maignan and he was 18 from Brazil, that 30 million euros couldn't be slapped down on the table fast enough. You know, and this is why I've said, as I said previously, guys, you know, I worry about us actually being able to do this deal because whenever we get linked with top-class players or we get close to signing top-class players in vital positions on the pitch, we always fumble it and we take the piss. And it feels like things are repeating itself again with this Manyan situation. Now, there was another update from Ben Jacobs as well on Wednesday night saying that Chelsea don't see 20 to 25 million as a number they want to pay for Manyan. They're starting low, and if they can meet in a middle ground or get close to their £8.5 million valuation, then great. If not, then there's no drama. What do you mean there's no drama? You've got an opportunity in the palm of your hands, guys, to sign a world-class goalkeeper to improve the team and make a big, big difference. And you think he's worth £8.5 million. Even with a year left on his contract, he's worth double that. How could we not even be prepared, seemingly, to pay £15 million for Manyan? You know, 8.5, fine. You know, I think that's disrespectful and way too low. People disagree with me, think I'm being ridiculous. But even when you're negotiating, you don't go in that low. I would have thought if you're looking at 20, 25 million pounds, you would go in at maybe 12 and you might meet at 15 or 16 or whatever. Going in at 8, there's a long way to go. Milan aren't going to come down from 20 million pounds to 8 million pounds. No way. There's literally about a 15 million pound difference in valuation. I personally don't see that being made up. I personally don't really see Chelsea budging much at all from their valuation. Milan might come down a little bit, but they're not going to come down to less than 20, in my view. You know, you might get it for 15 and bonuses, which takes it over 20. Fair enough. But as far as I'm concerned right now, Chelsea don't really look at this as a as a priority, as a necessity. If they can do it, great. It's an opportunity in the market and they'll take it, but they're not going to do all they can to get this deal done. And that's something that upsets me. That's something that worries me, that we're not prepared to do what it takes to get a deal done for a player who's going to make a massive difference in a position on the pitch that we've really struggled in over the years. I just don't understand the negotiating tactics here. I get it. You never go in with your first offer at the asking price. You start low and you meet in the middle somewhere. I get that. But starting at £8.5 million with a minimum of £20 million valuation to 25, disrespectful and insulting, in my opinion. And I think it's going to be difficult for us to reach an agreement here. But Fabrizio Romano has also added a couple of further points in an exclusive for Give Me Sport, saying that AC Milan are open to doing business with Chelsea as long as the proposal will be at least around 30/35 million euros. The Blues will consider how to move with a formal proposal anticipated by sources. Enzo Maresca has also approved this potential move as he'd like to have a new goalkeeper for the new season. It's important to clarify, Chelsea believe they can reach an agreement on the salary with Maignan, with contacts to follow. Now, that's fine. We probably can reach an agreement on salary with Manyan. I don't really see there being too many problems there. He would easily fit into our wage structure. No issues there. The issue is going to be the price. And I just don't understand why we're haggling so much over what, in the grand scheme of things, is not a very expensive deal. It really isn't an expensive deal. It's a deal that we shouldn't even be thinking twice about. I'm not, like, for me personally, I think we should be paying the £25 million, getting the job done, keep it stepping, let's move on to the next one. Okay. People disagree with me on that, but when you don't get opportunities to sign top class players in vital positions very often, you've got to grab it with both hands and wrap a deal up as quickly as possible, because you don't want to piss people off. You don't want to allow other clubs to enter the race and gazump you. You just want to get it done. Why can't you do 15 and 5? Why can't you do 20 and 5? You know, £20 million is absolutely fine. You're fine to spend 25 million quid on Robert Sanchez, but oh no, when it comes to Mike Maignan, we couldn't possibly spend any more than 10 million euros. It's utter nonsense, and it's why the club piss me off. You know, it's why I get really frustrated with it. It's why I get really frustrated with them, because people can say, oh, they're being smart. Oh, yeah, what if they get him for £8.5 million? They're not going to get him for £8.5 million. You know, we need to wake up here. We need to wake up here. We are not getting Manyan for £8.5 million. Let's not be stupid. You know, the Manyan links have lasted, what, all of maybe 1-2 days. You know, this is the exact goalkeeper we want. And yet we're fumbling it. You know, we're messing around. We're taking liberties. We're behaving like idiots. You know, you can say they got zero leverage, but ultimately they might think, do you know what? I'll roll the dice here. We'll take the gamble, and we'll try and agree an extension halfway through the season. You know, that they could absolutely be looking at it like that. And it's just, I don't know. Ultimately, it's going to come down to what the player wants. I don't think he's that desperate to come to Chelsea necessarily. If they can agree a deal, he'll come. But if not, no worries. He might take his chances and just leave on a free and go wherever he wants next summer. You can guarantee next summer, by the way, if he leaves on a free, then he's definitely not coming to Chelsea. Definitely not coming to Chelsea, because when there's more parties involved, there's no way he's going to come to Chelsea on a free. That's the reality. You know, for me, with Maignan, in my opinion, as things stand, it's now or it's likely never, unfortunately. So we'll wait and see what happens. But our disrespectful valuation is not an ideal start to negotiations. Milan are blocking his departure. And it's going to be interesting to see how this one unfolds, because we've obviously got reportedly Chelsea have set a deadline of Monday, and they'll move on Monday. Let's wait and see what the next few days has got in hold for us in regards to this Manyan situation. But I have to be real, guys. It's not looking particularly promising, and we've only got ourselves to blame. You know, we cannot be fumbling an opportunity like this, but it looks like we could be. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it, guys. Smash the likes as always. Subscribe if you're new around here. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you again in another one soon. up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.